Welcome everybody to this week's Fast and Fun video. It's Rich here. This week something a little bit different. We're not in the cars, but what I do hear a lot about is what is the best road trip in the UK mainland, and I think it's pretty much bolted on that it's the NC500, the North Coast 500, which is a big loop around the northern part of the Scottish Highlands. In this video, I'm going to tell you that not all the NC500 is good. From my experience, I would say don't do the NC500. I'm going to tell you what I believe are the best roads on that northern part of Scotland. I'm going to tell you where I stay. I'm going to tell you brilliant roads to avoid, where you can get super unleaded from, and also a couple of great roads on the way up to northern Scotland. So, here we go, straight in. I've got a 2016 AA Road Atlas, which I'm going to use to show you the different routes. Well, so we'll start by looking at the overall map of the UK. We'll come across, zoom in really to Scotland. Here's Glasgow and Edinburgh. And then we can zoom into the main northern part here of Scotland where the NC500 is. It traditionally starts and finishes around here in Inverness, and then you can either go anti-clockwise up the east coast, north coast, down the west coast, and then back to Inverness, or you can go it clockwise or anti-clockwise. Traditionally, people always say do it anti-clockwise, so that is going up the east coast first, up the A9 to John O'Groats, across the north coast, then down the west coast and back. They say that because this east coast up the A9, it is I find a boring, very busy, and around John O'Groats, very busy part of the route. And that's why I wouldn't do the NC500, because the route from Inverness all the way up the east coast, over to John O'Groats, is nothing special at all, heavy with traffic normally, and doesn't really offer any driving enjoyment. This is Inverness here, so this is, as I say, historically the main place to start and finish the NC500. It's quite heavily populated, it is heavily populated. I find if you come sort of 12 or so miles northwest, Dingwall is a good place to base yourself from, because it's relatively built up, but you're really on the edges of the Highlands where there's not a lot. You've still got quite a few opportunities here to get overnight accommodation, food, and importantly, in Dingwall, there's a Tesco's for a start, and various other garages where you can get super unleaded fuel from. The A9 I've briefly talked about, which heads up the east coast, a very mundane, busy, boring, major trunk road, which actually continues all the way down through Scotland, through Perth, and then down to Glasgow, and it's the way in and out really of the Highlands. But I'm going to tell you the way I normally go, which is much more enjoyable. But if you base yourself here, what you have then is this road here, which I really like, the A832. So it's only a few miles off to this junction here, off the A835, and this really takes you due west. And it runs all the way across to and past Lochmaree, right over onto the west side of the country. This first section from here through and along through this place called down here to Kinlochhew, all that, in fact, actually for the first part of going down Lochmaree as well, this is one of the fastest roads I would say I've come across in the UK, certainly for length, because this is probably 30-40 miles in length. It's fast, it's wide, it's got great visibility, and I am not under any circumstances saying to speed on this route, but I will say that you can travel along there fast, quickly, and relatively safely, and you can make really good progress. I love it. It is an absolute brilliant road, and before you know it, you're on Lochmaree and close to the west coast. So don't be put off if you're staying on the east side, because it's much more affordable and more options. That is a brilliant road down to past Kinlochhew and onto Lake Lochmaree. There is a road that comes down here called the A890. The first section's past a couple of locks. Again, it's super, super fast with brilliant visibility. But then it does start to get quite a lot of single track from then on. And it's the same with the A896 that takes you across Benai to Torridon. Again, quite a lot of single track. And this comes part of the two routes really down into what is known as the Applecross Peninsula. Quite famous because there's a road here, this unnamed road, that wriggles its way up, and it's called Baxter Bar. It's the highest road in the UK. I think it's about 650 metres. It is all single track, very, very twisty. The views are spectacular, when you get to the top, looking back east down the valley. And you can make your way down to Applecross, which is a lovely stopover for lunch, coffee, and you can do the whole Applecross Peninsula. Be warned, the majority of this route really, from Torridon and from these locks here, all this route is nearly all single track. And it will get extremely busy, extremely heavy with traffic. It's very narrow, and it is absolutely, none of this is a driver's route at all. For me, very, very touristy, but I would avoid it all the time, other than the view from the top if the weather conditions are good. So that's the Applecross Peninsula. If we come back to one of my favourite roads, the A832, just purely for how potentially fast that road is. Once you leave Lochmarie, you start heading north and you're on the west coast. And really from Gairloch onwards, let me just turn over the page or two. So journey down the bottom of this page here. It comes up, it makes its way. This is all spectacular. It really is. And in fact, it comes back onto the other page again, which I do want to show you because, and it makes its way back down, and you've got this junction here. There's a footbridge going across a little canyon there with a stream underneath it, really high. That's, again, it's another good stop off for coffee and a toilet break there. And then I would personally head north, and now going up to Ullapool. So, and this is this route now, which takes you up to Ullapool. Really point here at Ullapool is they have super unleaded. So just as you approach from the east, so on the east side of the A835, there's a petrol station, super unleaded. It's always really, really busy because all the drivers, bikes, etc. that want super go there. Convenient because you're sort of generally it's halfway round if you've come over from the Inverness way. So yeah, that's where you can get super unleaded. The pretty much then the A835 all the way up here. It goes into the 894, 838, all the way to the north coast, and some parts of the north coast all this section is absolutely fabulous. If you're there for driving roads, you can go up and down there all day, absolutely fabulous. The benefit with going on the same road two directions is any road that you travel on in two directions, it is always completely different in the opposite direction. So you can get huge enjoyment here, brilliant sights, brilliant drivers' roads, and importantly, most of these areas here, you've got places to overtake. Another nice stop-off that we quite often, another nice little road that turns off the 894 is the A837 down to a place called Lochinver. Again, another nice place there you can stop off for coffee and cake or lunch there. Again, that's another brilliant, brilliant road. We quite often use this road to come back. If we don't come back further south of the route that I said is very fast, this one is largely single track. In fact, well, it is single track, the A838. but it's very quietly used. You could go mile after mile here, and you will, even in May time when we went, you will very, very rarely hit any traffic. So very, very quiet, down to a place called Leg. And actually, another great short road is this road here called the A839 between Leg and the A9. That is an absolute belter. Fast, yes, flowing, pretty much every corner in that route. Great road. That's probably about 10 miles. Really, really enjoyable. Right, now what I'm going to do is show you two of my favourite roads of all time on the way up to Scotland. Now, when you get into Scotland, when you get to Glasgow, you've got largely two options to head for the North Highlands. You can take the A9, which is the boring route, takes you all the way to Inverness, but it's just painstakingly slow and it's full of trucks the whole time. What I prefer to do is come up here, up Loch Lomond, and then make my way up and across Glencoe. Yes, it's quite busy. You'll be well, there's plenty of places to overtake, but you'll be unlikely to have a clear run. But this comes down when you get to Glencoe itself, just south of Fort William. There's a road here that's really out and back to Kinlochleven, and this road, the A863, it's about 5 or 6 miles out there. And it just sweeps around the little village and you come back on the northern side. This road, for 12 miles or so, is one of my favouriteest roads in the UK. Full stop. It is quite simply stunning. It's 2 lanes, so you've always got no issues with oncoming vehicles. But it is twisty, flowing, it's going up and down, left and right, bumps and cambers, and again, it's almost built like it's just a fabulous roads, hugging the loch, and for me, it is definitely should be on your bucket list of brilliant drivers' roads. If you do that, having come back from Glencoe, you can then up through Fort William. Again, another place, if you want fuel, you can get fuel superleaded there, and then up to Loch Ness. The second road is on the way up Loch Ness. You'll come up the west side. When you get to Drummadroch, whatever this name is here, this place, you can then take the A833. It actually misses out Inverness, which is a bonus for traffic. But this road is another one. It climbs, a bit rough to start off with, but then all of a sudden it's just another 7-8 miles long probably. Wonderful road. Not as good as the first one, but still, if you're in this area and avoiding all the urban areas of Inverness, it is definitely a brilliant road if you're coming up this way on Loch Ness. So there we go. That's my fast and fun roads, good roads, bad roads, areas to stay, where you can get fuel from, and that's just from my knowledge and experience. Again, everything I've said there about the roads, again, I'm not condoning speeding at all. There are police cars, although I've never actually seen speed cameras on the roads, and I don't think we've passed any static ones either. But clearly, I'm not condoning speeding in any way in this video. I'm just giving you the opportunities to explore and drive on some of the UK's best roads. If you make that long journey up to the northern Scotland, you really want best bang for buck. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed it, thumbs up, subscribe, stay tuned. Another video next week. Thanks, guys.